Um, Let me just pull up the results real quick. I didn't. The only game I caught kinda was the Chivas game, but um I didn't see the first half.
All right. Well, I mean,
It's fine. Yeah.
we never do like match analysis.
Yeah.
So
All right.
we're more like commentary.
Yeah. All right, let me get the sound going and then we'll get this going. Good evening, everybody. CantinaMX Football Podcast back for another episode. I'm your host, Jaime Landeros, and we'll be recapping last week's fixtures. There's one going on right now with America León. But before I go any further, let me welcome in Joel. Joel, how we doing?
Greetings, Jaime. Lots to talk about this week. Lots of news.
Lots of news going on. We're back on YouTube streaming this lively, and we just had to use the Chicharito thumbnail for this one. He's not doing so well with Galaxy.
They're calling him the Chicha Diva.
Oh man. Yeah, I think that photo basically summarizes his move to the MLS. He is he's struggling. He's not even starting, and we're starting to see his. Well, he's an imposter, man.
Oh snap! I don't.
He's getting exposed now. He's not an imposter, but I don't know. He's not doing so well.
Yeah, I think it's the mental aspect. I think he's not there. We saw it with Rafa Marquez when he joined the Red Bulls, and he was nowhere near as good as he could be, and he had to come back to Mex. And I think, wait, was he in Pachuca at first
Who,
when he
Rafa?
returned?
He went
Yes.
to Grupo Pachuca. He went to León, and he
Yeah,
won.
but then, then at León, though, that's where he finally like se puso las pilas. So it took him a while to be like, I could still, even though I'm not in Barca, I'm not in the top flight in the cream of the cream. There's no reason I can't enjoy this or keep doing my best. And he ended up going to World Cup and even playing in Italy for 2 more seasons.
He
And I
won.
think,
He won back-to-back titles with León, and then
yeah,
yeah, he did get picked up by Huelas Verona.
yeah, and but you had those years where he just it seemed like he was done, and that's sort of where Chicharo kind of sad, where it's like he was in the big teams in the Man U in the Real, and then all of a sudden like it's mid-table teams, and then it's like he's in MLS, and I don't know if it's like his motivation is lacking now, where he wasn't called up to the national team for the friendlies that they just played, and then for the Galaxy's latest match, he wasn't even a starter. They benched him, and so it's like it's not looking good for him. And for me, it's you know where he's at, his mental aspect, and I know a lot of fans have attacked his guru, right? He has like a motivational guy living with him.
¿Cómo se llama ese pinche cabrón? I forgot his name. That's he has a weird name, but bald guy. Ever since he started to link up with him, it's been a shit
Yeah,
show. Um,
seems downhill, yeah, and he he just seems he just his head doesn't seem to be in the game anymore. He's like, you know, we saw he had his YouTube channel. I don't know how that's going.
Naked humans, yeah.
And and then he would stream his Call of Duty games.
Yeah, he's been playing some Warzone, man. He's got an
Is it?
entertaining stream.
Ah, we
So
have Chiquis coming back to the podcast, man.
Yeah, he's been off for a while. Like he hasn't been on Warzone for a while, so he is pretty entertaining. But he just goes like crazy and starts yelling and stuff. And
Two things I'd like to mention, kind of going on Rafa Marquez's career. He mentioned that his move to New York Red Bull was the worst decision he made in his career. He said he had offers from various European clubs, including Juventus, and he thought that he didn't, he was at the end of his career, so that's why he took the money. But he said he miscalculated that, and he still had something left in the tank. So pretty interesting on that. And then with Chicharito, they paid $10 million to get him over to Galaxy, and he's making $6 million a year. So
damn, and he has one goal all
that's too much
season
money,
long.
man.
and he missed a penalty,
That's
if
too
I'm
much
not
money.
mistaken.
You see, money is the root of all evil, dude. We talked about this before. Like
Jeez.
he's got to think about his
Jeez.
kids and all this stuff.
You could give me your check if you want. Then
You can
if
make
money's evil,
$500,000
you could
and have plenty
send.
for your kids, man. And you don't want your kids to be some spoiled, silver spoon-fed, like little white Mexican from Guadalajara. You want them to, to be tough a little bit, to go through some adversity in life and just have everything easy. So,
Well, and
yeah, I agree with the Rafa Marquez. I mean, that was a mistake. Chicharito might have the same thing later on. A few years, he might say, "Yeah, that was a mistake. I should have toughed it out, not taken the easy road."
I
shouldn't have listened to my wife.
No, she probably wanted to go. She probably wanted the LA life. I think Joel mentioned, she's like the model type and all this stuff.
Yeah.
She was complaining about not having Uber Eats in Sevilla, and that's why they left.
Uber.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's real.
that's real. Man.
Yeah, it was on the
We
Naked
talked about
Humans. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They were having.
Damn.
They
Well,
were
I mean, it's
they were having dinner, and she was bitching about, oh yeah, in Sevilla, we were in London, like a world class city, and now we're in Sevilla, and we're like back in the Stone Age, because,
well, it's an old city, and so it depends. In some areas, if you are, it's like it's old, like way back when, and so it's like it wasn't made for cars, like to have it's little streets, and there's certain sections where like just cars don't go in there. You have to walk. But and then, as you know, difference London being, it got bombed during the war, so they had to rebuild. So they made the wider streets. But oh man, I think going into the, it was a mistake. That's I mean I link it up to your mentality, because I don't think Vela would say the same. But that's kind of what he found, what he was looking for coming to LA. And so I don't think that was the thinking with Chicha. I think you guys are right. He probably came because of the wifey, because maybe his guru was like, come to LA, and
he's like,
and
LA.
this,
Oh, I can brainwash some more people out here.
yeah, it's a place to be, and he probably did that, But I feel at the same time, since he left the Leverkusen, I think that was his mistake, leaving Leverkusen.
I mean, he didn't flop at West Ham. Not to say that he had an amazing career at West Ham, but
no, but he arrives in this former coach that didn't want him in Man U.
Well, yeah, the coach that got the coach at the time that had West Ham, they were going, it was going well, and then he got canned, and then they brought in Moyes, and then it went downhill from there. But the thing about Javier's career, I've followed it very closely, and the what I'm hearing now, and it's really coming to a shock to me, is the ego. They're saying that he's a mega, he has a super huge ego in the locker room, and I didn't know that about Chicha. You know, he was this humble kid from Guadalajara. When he was at Manchester United, he was always in the interviews it was all about the team. He's like, yeah, my goals are cool, but it's all about the win. And then something happened, man. When he went to Madrid, you know, se le subió, it went to his head. He was hanging out with, you know, Ronaldo and all these like superstars, and he landed in a superstar team. And I think from there, that's when he changed, man. Because there was reports that in the locker room in Bayer Leverkusen and at West Ham, and now apparently in Galaxy, he has like a super huge ego. So I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, that was the report, and that he only talks to Jonathan, and he ignores.
And he speaks English like fluently.
I don't know. Didn't he just have a second kid?
Here's the deal.
Let's hear it.
Here's the deal. He talks to his teammates, but he yells at them on the field out of frustration.
That is true.
You know, he's the main dude of the team. If anything goes wrong, or if he doesn't get an opportunity, it's because his teammates aren't providing it for him, or they're not up to his level.
Wow. So you mean it
sort
like
of that's
you mean that's like his perception of things, or are you defending him?
No, I'm saying that's the way he is, man.
Mm.
And it's partly because ever since, you know, maybe like in Real Madrid, like you're saying, after that, if he didn't perform as well, he started seeing a lot of criticism. And I think what was his phrase? Imaginemos cosas chingonas. So after that, people, you know, he started getting media criticism. Then he started not talking to the press. And in going to MLS, the criticism got even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where his mental coach came into the picture. You know, we already know he reads all the replies. He responds on Instagram Live to all the fans and stuff. And
Chicharo or his guru?
No, Chicharo. He puts them down. He defends himself. He reads every. You know how you're not supposed to read the replies. He reads every single reply.
Wait, who reads all the replies? Chicharo or his?
Chicharo.
I have seen Chicharo respond to Instagram comments and Twitter.
Yeah, they both read it, and they.
Jeez, that must take hours, man.
I mean, not all of them, but you know, they don't just like ignore every single one.
Yeah.
And even if a hater comes on the scene, they'll respond to that. They'll justify their reasoning and their life to some like unknown dude, instead of just being like on another level, like just ignore the stuff. And so that gets into his head, and so he's trying to justify and feel self-conscious about all these haters and then his teammates and stuff. And I don't think he is like I don't think he's fully thinks he's a diva, but he's just like.
Well, I could see a Monterrey probably, you know, making a bid for Chicha and bringing him back to Liga MX.
You mean Chivas? He won't play for another team but Chivas.
No, man, come on.
Nope. I am.
Chivas is not going to pay him $6 million.
They're not going to pay him. But I am 100% convinced that if he goes back to Liga MX, which is becoming more and more of a possibility, I think the only team he would play for is Chivas. I don't think he's that stupid where he would do Chivas dirty that way.
How is it doing them dirty? They won't be able to afford him.
Because he said that he would return one day. And
yeah, when he's 32, when he's like 37 or something.
Nah, he'll
play his last his goodbye tour, and that's it.
We saw what happened with Giovanni Dos Santos. You know, they said,
but he came for free though.
Yeah, I know he came for free, but I can see a similar road for Javier. I know I can.
Galaxy's not sending him out for free, man. I really doubt it.
I don't know how long of a contract he signed. I want to say it's, I don't know, 2-3 years. I don't know how long the contract is, but it's a 3-year contract. So realistically, I can see him going at, maybe when there's 1 year left on his contract and his value is degraded, I could see him returning to Chivas and ending his career there. I really don't see how that's not realistic. I don't think I don't think a big team like Tigres or Monterrey or would try and go for it.
This is the thing. If he's unhappy, then the Galaxy's gonna try to get rid of him.
He can't be unhappy. They're paying him $6 million, bro.
But
they're gonna have to play him. Like there's no way. There's no way they just let him like sit on the bench. He's gonna
Yeah,
have
but
to.
sometimes
This
they
last
could
game,
have
he was
like a
benched.
clause. Yeah, he was benched the last game, but there's usually a contract clause. But I mean, he could agree to it as well, because it could hurt him more if he just stays there and he's not producing, and then that just other teams are not gonna wanna. Your value is just gonna drop really hard. So a lot of players would be like, all right, I'll opt out of my wages or whatever. So, anyways,
I doubt it, man. He just got a kid in the way. His wife's loving LA. He's got a house there. There's no way that you pry him out of LA Galaxy. He's gonna have to, pull up his tidy whities, eat his Wheaties, and go back into training and start earning his spot again. It's the MLS, bro. It's not like he went to freaking, he can do it. I'm sure he can figure it out. He's just he's in a funk right now.
he's in a very bad funk. But I was just hypothetical here. If it was to like just get worse, and so then I do think it would be like Monterrey that would snatch him up.
It
They
have
would
to
be
be
like
sooner.
we
It have to be
we
sooner
could
than
cover
later.
we could
Dude.
cover the cost.
His whole family from Guadalajara moved to like Manchester. There's no way that he goes to any other team in Mexico but home. There's no way. I'll put anything on there, bro. There's no way he plays for any other team but Chivas if he goes to Liga MX. There's no way.
Okay, but see that's
Huh?
Monterrey or Guadalajara. What's nicer place to live since he wants the luxuries and stuff.
I mean, Guadalajara's his home, bro. So I don't think that's even part of the conversation.
Well, I think later on, like if he's about to end his career, like to go out with a bang, he'll go to Chivas. But right now, he's still sort of like in
He's
his
32.
not in his prime, but he's sort
32.
of like still
He's
young.
still got.
Yeah.
He's still got. I think
3 years.
This MLS season has been weird, because it stopped, like 2 weeks into the season. So you can kind of throw this one away and then give him a do-over for 2021 and see where he ends up.
And also the coach. Let's see what happens with the coach.
Who's his coach?
Things not looking too good for Guillermo Barros Esqueloto, Argentine, former Boca player, and yeah, that team's not doing too good. They were on a 6-game losing streak or winless streak. They did win their last game,
They
but
beat Vancouver, but they were defeated by their rivals up north over here in San Jose. They lost 4-0. It was pretty convincing. So
yeah. So Chicha. So just to put an end on the Chicha talk, you guys see him staying for next season?
I think so. I mean, again, they have a 3-year contract. Unless they find some clause where they can just fire him, I think he's going to stay put for at least another season. And then from there, maybe they'll try and renegotiate him and talk him out of being a DP and giving him like $100K salary or some shit. It's just, he literally took a pay cut to go to Sevilla. So, I mean, it was just so weird that 6 months later, he's like, all right, I'm just going to go to MLS and call it a day. Like, there's a little bit of him that still wants to compete. You can tell.
The league here had been scouting him. I mean, he was the target for the Galaxy. I mean, not for LAFC.
Yeah.
He was their main target before Vela, but he turned them down.
Just for marketing purposes, mostly.
Well, yeah, I mean.
Well, yeah, because
he's
trying
Mexican.
to make the buck.
He's the biggest Mexican player. Of course they're gonna go after him. At the time. Not anymore.
They wanted to make a splash. But I think they achieved that with Vela, and I think it worked even better for them, just because of how he ended up doing. He hasn't been playing. So we'll see what happens with Vela, man, because What if he
Vela,
decided to hang it up, man? He's like,
Carlos,
I'm done, dude.
I really don't want this to be an MLS podcast, but I will say congratulations to Vela for having India. I guess he named his kid India. So he just became a dad
Chicha,
again.
Chicha also had another kid, though, right?
I know there was one in the oven. I didn't know if
Yeah, I
it
think he already.
really.
Yeah,
Oh, we're turning into a chisme show like Do the N
she's.
or ESPN
No,
Deportes.
I think it could be part of it. Like maybe he's going through some of this stuff, where
Maybe it's
he's
the war
not
zone.
Yeah,
The
there's
war
war
definitely
zone.
there's definitely
Because Memo Ochoa also streams, and he didn't start today. I don't know what's
Oh,
going
he's
on with him.
injured. Come on,
He's
guy.
injured?
He's
Man.
been injured. He's gonna miss. I think he'll probably good chance he's out for the rest of
Yeah.
the season.
This is what happens when
Oh, man.
you don't listen to the podcast, man. You miss out.
Yeah.
I watch his stream more than I watch him play him.
Yeah,
Liga MX.
there was a big controversy because, La Selección borrowed him and brought him back all banged up. So Piojo had an issue with Tata for that.
My bad. My apologies.
Well, I mean that could cost him. That could cost America, because it's he's just such an important player and one of those keepers that could help you win some tough matches because he's got that type of skill, man, where he'll make some key saves. And to lose a goalkeeper of that caliber, and now you're relying on a bench, that could cost him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be pissed, but I mean, to an extent, because it's not like the selección wants to injure him on purpose.
Of course not. And speaking about America, Jornada 14, match day 14, is officially over as of 8 minutes ago. León actually ended up winning this one against America 3-2. So they remain in first place now with 33 points.
See, there you go, man. And if Ochoa was there, it could have been a draw. You don't know.
Well, America hasn't had the best defense this season, and we talked about that. But yeah, obviously he's a veteran, and I don't even know who their backup goalkeeper is. I mean, you rather have Ochoa back there. And that will put America out of the top 4. So now they are in 5th position.
They're in 5th.
Fuera Piojo, hashtag Fuera Piojo.
Yeah, and Chivas only 3 points. 3 points from America.
That's right. We're gonna go over the Jornada 14 scores. I guess we can talk about Chivas because they did have their little brother play against them on Saturday. And if you guys did not watch the game, the scoreline was very, very misleading. It ended up being 3-2 final score. However, at one point, Chivas were up 3-0, and by 1 point, I mean 85th minute, Chivas were up 3-0. We had a unfortunate referee who, for some reason, wanted to give Atlas every opportunity they could to tie the game. They called 2 very, very soft penalty calls, and luckily Godinho saved one of them, which ended up being the big difference maker because Atlas ended up scoring 2 goals. Another penalty call, and this time Malcora scored that. So 3-2 final score in the Clásico de Guadalajara.
Yeah, good win, and we talked about the podcast the importance of Chivas winning that match, and because their next games are gonna be pretty tough. They host Cruz Azul, which could not be as tough as I mean, Cruz Azul is still one of the stronger teams, but they've hit a rough patch recently, and so I guess Chivas playing them at home is it's a plus. And then they play Pumas on the road, and then they close at home against Monterrey. So these last 3 games, they're against teams ranked higher. But I'll say that having 2 home games helps them a bit. but I think they got just with this big win, they got a pretty good cushion of finishing, in Liguilla spot. But
They're
they're in
almost
set
they're I think 1 point away from being mathematically like in Liga. So
in
yeah.
yeah. Well, and because if it's at because Liguilla's all the way to 12,
Yeah.
but like if we were just to look at it, top 8, I think Chivas has a good chance of finishing top 8, and it's a kind of embarrassing. You're talking about Chivas because it's should be grande. It should be fighting the top first place. We shouldn't be celebrating a top 8 finish. But it's been 3 years, man.
Yeah, without Liga.
It's
Yep.
without Liguilla, which means you can't even finish top 8.
Yeah.
So it's rather embarrassing. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at with Chivas, where it's like,
It's like
um,
it's like when high schools decided that, D is now considered passing. That's basically what's happening now with the
yeah,
La Liga MX. You went from 8 teams to now 12. All right, D is passing. Go
D,
on.
D, a
Get out
D
of here.
minus. The D, I would say Jaime, I would say the 8th place was passing with a D. 12th place is passing with like a D minus. Almost F plus, dude. F plus.
I mean, you're not
But
wrong. You're not wrong.
but I think this would be big for like showing that with Pelaez at the helm and guiding the team, that it's already it's getting pretty good. It's a big improvement from not being able
Yeah,
to qualify
and like
and finishing.
you mentioned too that this international break was going to really help Vucetic out just for having number one players rested, because this whole season's been rushed and they've been playing like 2 games a week. So having a 2-week break, or more like 10 days of just being able to train, recover, and having majority of his squad. I mean, the only player that did go to
Yeah,
Europe was Tiba Sepulveda, but everybody else was there, and you could tell that the team was cohesive in that victory against Atlas. However, the shit show with the defense in the last 5
yeah,
minutes was terrible. But for the most part, Vucetic will appreciate this.
yeah. And they scored 3 goals, which is not bad.
Yeah,
We've gotten used to a Chivas that doesn't score that much. But yeah, and it's we talk about the goal differential, so they're at 3. They have
yeah, they're in
plus
the
3.
positive, which is good.
Yeah, because like Toluca, for example, well, let's go to 12. 12 Puebla, they're -4.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's a good. So let's see what happens. But uh, Pumas, let's talk Pumas. They're in second. They beat
They
they
beat
beat Toluca.
1-0, and it
Lucky
was
that
Yeah,
Chepo wasn't there.
an own
You know
goal.
who the? I just realized Toluca's coach is Carlos Morales,
yeah,
Yep.
young little
you
fella.
Chiquis,
Well, sort of young little fella, but taking the L for the team on an
he's
own
well
goal.
yeah, he's interim. So he's interim coach. Chiquis again. You see, you don't listen to our podcast.
This is what happens when
It's hurting.
you stop
Hey,
hanging out with us, man.
It's hurting.
is he not the coach?
Hitting me on the
Is he not,
fields, Chiquis.
is he not the coach? Is he
No,
not the coach?
yeah,
Yeah, but we talked about it.
yeah, we talked about it last week.
we,
I know. I'm just
we
saying.
talked about he's the interim, and they gave him a shot because we were talking about why Toluca sacked Chepo and how it's unlike Toluca to just sack coaches like that. Uh, and obviously there was some problems going on there. Chepo didn't talk, so we don't know. But the fact that they left an interim, to me, it says that at least they show some of the serious in their part of not rushing in and just like going the Mazatlan route and get Thomas Boy. It's just whoever they could grab, just throw him in there. Um,
Yeah. So
I don't expect them to get a big signing or anything. It's probably just be another recycle.
no, Toluca has, dude. They brought in They had Tolo Gallego, who was, in Argentina. He's like a known coach. They had Beckerman, at one point.
They
Am I
did.
confusing Beckerman with going to Tigres?
No,
Was he also?
Beckerman coached both Toluca and Tigres.
Okay, there you go. See, I wasn't.
And then he
My
went to
mind plays
Colombia.
tricks on me. My mind plays tricks on me, Jaime. Sometimes it. Yeah, he was at Toluca. So yeah. So I mean, they've had pretty good coaches, man. It's not like Chepo's a good coach too. It's not like he,
Where's
he's
Juan?
has
Where's
he
Juan
has
to
it.
refute that?
he you want look, man. You could just go off his numbers. So I mean, he's been unfortunate, but if you look at his numbers, like I mean, he has 3 league championships. Not that many
That's
coaches can claim that.
that's more for than coaches that have been in the league for
Yeah,
20
La
years.
Volpe only had one.
Y ¿cómo se llama? Romano. Romano, he was like in the league for so
He had
long.
no, yeah, I don't think he ever
He never
got
won. He got close, but then remember he lost in penalties.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Wait, did La Volpe even win one?
Of course he did with Toluca.
No, he was sent. He was sent to the national team, so he didn't finish the season. It was Graniolati.
Hmm.
I don't know if he won with Atlante
No, I'm
way
pretty sure
back.
he won one, dude. There's no way.
Yeah, it was with Atlante back in 92, 93. So that's the only one he has, and then I would I would give it to him for Toluca. I don't know why he didn't just stay and finish the season. And it was Graniolati. I don't know how much input was there, but he could have had 2. But I mean, since that just 1. So I mean, I think we're quick as fans to discredit a lot of these coaches and say that they suck, but it's not easy, man. So what he achieved, and then just because
I think
some
with Chepo, it'll always be the one, the thing that you put an asterisk next to his career will always be like how he royally cocked it at the selección. Same for Ojitos Mesa, it's just
it
they just couldn't
well,
they couldn't do it.
oh
But it's
well,
okay.
I'm glad you bring up Mesa because he was very successful, and then if you saw his teams, Toluca, Toros Nesa was one of my favorite teams to watch, and I loved it even more that Chivas destroyed them because for the league. But Toros was, you could call them the champions without a crown. Man, if you guys could YouTube some of their goals, one of my favorite they scored. I don't know if it was 3 or 4 back heels in a row.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, like in a row, dude. Like just back heel, back heel, back heel, and then some dude just guns it from outside the box. But this team was just fun to watch. One time they came out to take pictures, and they're all wearing Halloween masks. And another time they all just shaved their head bald. I said Turco Mohammed was there, Piojo was there. They it
Mohamed.
was just
Mohamed. There's another player that he's from he's from Europe. I forgot his name.
who
At that Toros Nesa team, he had a European player. He was like,
you
I forgot his name, man. I'll have to look it up, but I
are you
remember.
saying Lusenhoff?
Was it him?
But he was Argentine. Lusenhoff
Was he?
is
Oh.
not the sounding name, but he was Argentine, the defender.
Mm.
But yeah, and but wait, or am I confusing with Toluca? Anyways, that Toros Nesa team was fun to watch, and so Minojitos goes to the selección. Everyone's thinking, man, if he has a national team playing like that, we're in for some good times. And
Yeah,
it was
the
a
late
beating, man. It's
the
brutal.
the late 90s, Toluca were a nightmare. They won 3 titles under Ojitos Mesa, 98, 99, 2000, and then when he failed at that selección, he went to Pachuca and won a Conca Champions over there. So, 2 of them back to back. So yeah, Ojitos he's got a good, you know.
Yeah, well, no, like you said, after his debacle with the selección, after it went bad, he had a hard time. He had a hard time just getting back on track, and he jumped around through a bunch of teams, you know, till he like you could
Like the
say
cheese.
he finally managed to do something which was Pachuca, man. He won a league in 2007, and then he won the Champions Cup. So he finally won some silverware, and oh, back to back. Yeah, you said it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he won a lot with Toluca, and then
and he won the Sudamericana. I didn't know that was him. Uh, but yeah, it took
was
him a
it?
while to.
I thought Pachuca won that
Yeah,
in 04, no?
it says so 6
Oh
right here.
six. Oh, that's right.
So it took him a couple years, man, but he finally bounced back, and then after that he sort of disappeared again. But
He got the cheese touch, like Chepo did.
Es todo
yeah,
You ever seen
no,
you ever seen Diary of Wimpy Kid? The
no,
cheese
I
touch.
the cheese
That's not.
touch.
Yeah, never mind. It's a kid show, but yeah, man, it's like curse. He got cursed, dude,
He got
and
cursed.
I
Yeah,
don't
it
think that'll
did.
ever go away. Like the Chepo image
Yeah.
of the national team. That's never. That's like that's
No, I
stuck on
mean
his
it
brain.
can't because like we're showing it with ojitos.
Same as
You
Vucetich,
know,
man.
it ended up.
It make or breaks you, you know? I mean, we talk about what a failure Hugo Sanchez was too with the Olympics. They didn't even qualify for the Olympics, but
El Olímpico.
that game
Yeah,
itself is just it's one of the most embarrassing games I've ever seen. And
Oh yeah,
and
and he
unfortunately it just erases everything else that they did well with their career, because you think about
pues his Copa
and
America was one of the
he hasn't
best.
coached since, right? He hasn't even come
no, he went to
close. Like
Spain.
he'll
He went to Spain.
well like
Yeah, he
okay,
went
yeah,
and
that was a
he
short
did
little
good.
that was a short little thing. That was like
No, but
that's
he did
minor.
good.
That's
He
minor.
he did.
He went to
He,
Almeria.
that's minor.
That's minor, man. That's minor. Because all the hype he was talking about, like he wants to coach Real Madrid and
Oh yeah.
do big things, but it's like nothing, man. He's been on Picante or whatever for like the longest. He hasn't. I mean,
He
it's nothing has
he
panned out, and it's all a result because of that, man.
there was a point where he was one of the candidates for, potentially coaching Madrid, but it was never like gonna be a serious thing.
Well, it was. I remember. I remember because some people were bringing his name up, but it was like as interim or just to finish the season, and didn't they name some other dude that just crashed and burned really bad?
Yeah, but it's just
It's ruthless, man.
it just goes
It's
to show,
ruthless. Like
man. It's like la selección, man. It's just it will make or break you. I mean, I think Chiquis wanted to say something about Raul Jimenez maybe later on in the show, but this guy scoring all these
yeah,
goals for Wolves, and what's he doing for la selección?
and people
Assist.
were hating like on the game. People were hating the haters because like some people were saying, okay, Raul, they're hating on him, and then people were saying he's got all these assists, like he's making the plays and stuff. Um, but yeah, we could talk. I mean, I want to I want to go into something real quick. And hopefully, this
Yeah,
is not too off topic, but this goes into like the Hugo Sanchez and the Chepo because any bad thing like the Olympics or the World Cup failure like can tarnish you so bad. And especially like if you're Mexican and you're trying to be on the world scene. I saw this tweet just now about Lampard referring to Christian Pulisic being American. And um, let me just read this quote. He says, I could see right away that Frank Lampard's idea of Christian Pulisic was shaped a lot by the fact he was an American and not that his football education came from a lot from what was happening in Germany. And so he had to sort of like grow, grow on him. Christian Pulisic had to grow on Lampard, but he was in debt or like on a negative because he was American. And I think that's the same way of I think of Chucky over there with Gattuso. Like Gattuso's probably like this guy's a Mexican. What is he gonna do? And then
What?
Chucky had to like come up and say, Okay, Mexican. Like if you're Brazilian, okay, you got the clout.
No,
If
no,
you're
Chiquis. I
Argentinian,
think I
if you're
think you're
Argentinian, no,
pissing off
dude.
the
If
pot
you're
there with Gattuso, man.
if you're
I don't
Argentinian,
think.
Gattuso's gonna bend the knee. If you're a Brazilian, you come on his team.
Nah,
He's
dude,
gonna be
come
like,
on.
yeah, man, you're starting. You're Brazilian. You got the clout
Look,
already, dude.
Chiquis, you
Of
do
course,
know.
that's the truth, man.
I do think that we are an unproven commodity in Europe, and even though we come out from Mexico, big fish, little pond, you go to Europe and you're nothing.
Yeah, you got to prove yourself. So, I mean, you can't be doing like what Chucky did at first, if that's true. Like he was, not putting his best. You got to prove yourself hard, and it's glad. Like recently, we're seeing him do that. He's scoring, and he's even hugging Gattuso, and that's good to see. But you have to put in the work. You have to
Oh
prove
yeah,
yourself.
for sure.
Whereas other people don't necessarily have to do that. They've done it sort of with their nationality. Being
Nah, I
Brazilian.
think you're. I
No,
don't
You
know,
might be
man.
reaching a little bit, but
that's a
Some
straight
some.
fact, man.
I there's some butt hurt there, Chiquis. I don't.
No,
I don't
dude.
think. I don't. I don't
Like
think it applies as much. The whole. Oh,
Lampard's
cause he's
words prove it. Lampard's words prove it.
no,
If
but
you're an
that's
American,
Lampard. But you're
you don't know
going.
soccer. It's not just Lampard. I bet you it's a ton of coaches in Europe.
I don't.
It's like going for a lottery. Like if you are given, uh, if you're given 10 Mexican players and 10 Brazilian players, how many of them are you gonna pick
Nah,
for your
man.
team?
But see, talent is talent, though. So when I my thing is with your comment on Gattuso because Chucky is a talented player. He's not some kid that Napoli picked up. They paid 40 million. So
Yeah,
he's not gonna see him as, oh, this dude, because he's Mexican. That was never the issue. Gattuso just saw that this dude was just, pussyfooting that. He wasn't like,
correct.
you know, he wasn't like going balls to the wall. So he,
I agree.
and we talked about how he kicked him out of a training before it even started. Because
I
he
agree.
probably saw him like with making a stink face or whatever. And he's like, hey, get the fuck on then. I don't want you here. But so what we're seeing now is dude, Chucky's killing it. I think he scored 2 goals just this
Yeah, I agree.
right on Sunday.
oh yeah.
So
I
I,
agree.
I so I think with I agree with you. I do think like for the average player they're not gonna give as much of a chance if you're Mexican than if you're like Brazilian or Argentine, because as you said, they're more proven. But I think when you have a player like a Chucky, a Raul, whatever, some that have already looked good and have they have more like vitrina, you could say, then I don't think they're gonna. I don't think it's to that point
It's
where
easier
it's
for
like, oh,
Gattuso.
cause
It's easier for Gattuso to discard him if he does a stink face or if he doesn't put his
oh
best.
hell
Whereas
no,
if a
man, that's
Brazilian
for
doesn't,
cheekies.
a Brazilian he would be more tolerant.
Not if
If
you
you
have a 40 million price tag, cheekies.
He was
You're not.
Napoli's most
We,
expensive
and we,
transfer.
dude,
Yeah.
and we talked about it here. How it's
Mm-hmm.
like where we were surprised because it's like you're not gonna sell him for 40 million
Mm-hmm.
just because of everything that's going on. So we were surprised. Like, is this dude trying to get rid of him? That's like I could see the directiva at one point being like, "Whoa, dude, we just put this much money right here,"
Yeah.
And I think it was just tough love, and
It
it's
worked.
proven that it
Yeah.
was exactly tough love.
It worked out for Chucky. He's a professional. This isn't his first rodeo. He didn't go from Pachuca all the way to Napoli. No, he was a PSV. He earned his stripes there. He also scored against Germany in the World Cup. I mean, this kid has experience. So he was able to just
Yeah,
finally adapt to the defensive duties that Gattuso requires his wingers to do. And like you guys mentioned, he scored 2 goals over the weekend. He gave them the win, and I think he's gonna have a great season over there in Italy.
so he
yeah.
finally won over. He finally won over. Like he finally beat the xenophobic
Yep.
attitudes of the Italians, of the
No,
Italian push.
cheekies.
And
No.
we know about the Italians, man.
No,
We know
man,
the
come on.
Italians are worse than the Spanish,
The,
and the Spanish called Hugo Sanchez
they,
the
they,
great Indian word, Indio word. How dare they?
they, the great Tlatoani. What was it? What were they calling him? They just call him Indio.
Tlaloco.
No, I mean that's the fans, and it's for the most part opposing fans. So yeah, they're more into the, we're going to get in your head type of thing. I'm not saying there's no races, there is, but that was
That
that was that was a big part of the,
that sounds
you
like
know,
Gattuso back when he was playing to get in your heads.
yeah. I
Dude
mean
was a
that's
firecracker.
While we're on the
yeah.
topic of European players abroad, there's another game today that sparked my interest. It was Biesla Loco Biesla versus Raul Jimenez and the Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Raul ended up being the difference maker, scoring the game winner. They won 1-0, but it was not easy, and I think Leeds had a pretty decent showing. But
I saw the goal. I saw the goal.
yeah,
It was se desvió, but Jimenez made it happen, man. He carried the ball, dribbled through a couple players and took the shot. So it was a lucky deflection, but dude, a good 3 points right there.
And he doesn't like it's amazing. Like it's very few games where he doesn't make such a huge impact. And I won't say he didn't make an impact during the national team games, but it wasn't as much. And it seems like so consistent. I remember even 2 years ago where we were all hyped about Raul Jimenez on the national team, and nothing like really big came about from it.
it's true.
I think even since his Chilena, which was against Panama, that was years ago. But we're waiting for like the big explosion,
I
and it's
agree.
not happening. But it's happening on the club level, but on the national, and he'll get the assists and stuff, and he'll play well. Um,
He scored the
Not known
penalty
for too much. Yeah,
for against Holland. Ended up being
he missed.
decisive, but he did.
Yeah, he missed a few shots. I mean, he missed a few
Yeah,
opportunities.
he missed a sitter. Uh, and then he did score against Panama in the uh, last November. He scored twice. So he just hasn't been the he's not like Chicharito, where Chicharito just literally like was lightning in a bottle and just kept scoring and scoring and scoring. Raul's a different player. He's more of a target man. He plays to his back towards the goal sometimes, and he's a tall
Yeah,
guy, so he sets up everybody else for success, and that's allowed our Tecatito to shine. And I would like to see him play alongside like a nine, like Macias, or just another striker to help him out.
yeah. No, I think we can't, as fans, see what Raúl is doing at Wolves and expect him to play the same at with the selección. It doesn't always translate the same. His functions could be different. What the coach asks of him could be different. You
Especially
know,
because we don't have a linebacker like Adamame Traore, man. That guy's a freaking. He looks like a running back for the NFL, man. We don't have a player built like that.
we
Is
need
he the one
we
that
need
gives him all the assists?
we need more clenbuterol. Some clenbuterol tacos, burritos, dude.
Some other player that had action this weekend in Europe was Tecatito Corona. He ended up getting a goal in that game as well against Sporting. It was a 2-2 draw, but Tecatito is probably our best player right now. If I'm talking about form, he's probably our most informed player with Raul. He's just on another level right now. Surprised that no one picked him up from Porto, man. But if
No,
he's
no.
there, why not? Just keep it.
Martin was tweeting about that, and what he said, it made a lot of sense. And he said how because he has a high price tag, and that Porto wouldn't budge right now, as far as like lowering
Oh, okay.
and it's a lot of clubs right now. You know, the whole COVID stuff and all that.
Yeah,
So a lot of clubs haven't been spending that much money, and I think that also hurt um, JJ Mack from leaving. You know, I think a lot of this desmadre that happened,
possibly. Yeah.
yeah, put a halt in some of these transfers. And so he's saying now his contract's about to, you know, expire, and so that's when the teams are gonna look to negotiate because
Mm.
at this point Porto will have to like, you know, go to the negotiating table or risk losing them on a free transfer. So
And he's gonna have the world at his stage on Wednesday, as Porto will kick off the Champions League match day 1 against Manchester City. So that'll be an
oof.
exciting game for him to run some circles around Man City's defense and maybe give a tryout to a future team in the Premier League. Who knows?
Yeah, is that where you would like to see him, Jaime? The
Um,
Premiership?
I know that there's a lot of steam picking up for him going to like Spain. I think the way he plays, it would probably fit Spain better. But then again, they have him kind of playing like right back, so um, I don't know if England would be the best move for him. But I would love to see him in the Premier League and playing with Raul at Wolves. I think that'd be an awesome transfer for him.
Chiquis, would you rather see him with Gattuso?
Uh, I think Spain would be good for him. I always
Spain.
I always fear the EPL with guys like Chucky get hacked or something.
Watch him end up in MLS, dude.
Who,
All the
Tegatito?
yeah,
Nah, nobody can
all the
afford him, man. He's like 40 million minimum.
Eventually, like probably with every other player that's gonna retire will end up in MLS. That's the path.
I just bought FIFA 21 and been playing it. I can't even afford Tecatito Corona right now, man. He's just
are you
he's
playing as Chivas?
I'm playing as Chivas. I can't buy him, bro. I can't buy him. He demand the transfer is 40 something million, bro. I can't do it. But yeah, he's doing great out there in Europe. But yeah, definitely tune in Wednesday, that Champions League, man. I'm glad it's coming back, and it's the most competitive league or tournament in the world, I think, alongside the World Cup. So I'm trying to see who else might have some action from Mexico. Bayern Munich will
What's up
play
with
against Atleti Madrid.
What's up with Linus, man? Is he scored a little nice goal at the national team level there?
Very nice
And
goal.
yeah, so that's sort of an upside for him. Hopefully he continues.
My phone informed me that he had a few scrap minutes against Betis. I'm sorry, against Sociedad. I want to say he had maybe like 10, 20 minutes at most. So, which is kind of crazy because Real Sociedad are actually in first place right now. It's kind of a weird year, man.
Yeah, with that, so ever since CR7 left Spain, it's like, who
No,
cares?
yeah, nobody really watches La Liga. I mean, Messi is still there, but he's like he tried to break up with Barcelona and that didn't work out. So
He's like Cruz Azul compared to Cristiano.
Which
For me,
Ronaldo, man, he's got COVID. How you holding up? I know you're a big Ronaldo fan.
I still see him out there flexing on the Instagram with his six pack and stuff. So
Yes.
he's like Zlatan. He just like lets it bounce off him. You know? Zlatan's got it like twice. He's had it like twice, right? I think CR7 at the very beginning. I think him and Dybala had it, right?
Dybala had it and his wife or girlfriend, but Ronaldo didn't have it before, no.
Ronaldo. Oh, okay.
But as Zlatan would say, I didn't catch COVID. COVID caught me. kind of bringing it back to Liga MX, can go over some of the scores. The match day 14 kicked off with Atlético San Luis, and a surprising result. They actually won, and they beat Querétaro 2-1. It was a pretty late goal. So it was the 83rd minute. Pablo Barrera. That's a name I haven't heard in a million years. He scored the game winner. Remember once upon a time when he was scoring goals for Mexico in the Gold Cup?
Yeah, he was
He was
he
with
was
Pumas.
one of the
He was with Pumas last season, I believe, and he was still balling. But I think even Pumas had to get rid of that old dude.
Yeah, he went to West Ham and just flopped. Despite that win, unfortunately, Atlético San Luis are still in last place with 11 points. Ouch.
yeah, horrible season for them. Minus 12 goal differential, so they have the worst. You know, the worst. You could say the worst defense of the league.
And how about Querétaro? You know, you lose to the team in last place, and you're right there behind them at 12 points, 17th position. So they had like a weird fluke win, if I'm not mistaken, against Cruz Azul, right? I think that's been their highlight of the season.
and you know, San Luis, so 11 points. Puebla has 14 points. That means they could still make Liguilla.
Oh yeah, if you're looking at number 12, yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct, man. You're talking about the dunce in the class, the one that has to wear the hat and sit in the corner. He still might graduate, man. He might still pass the class.
He hasn't turned in his homework all semester.
With the F plus, man. This guy's been flicking boogers at you all class, all season. You know,
I think this is what it's freaking boogers. I think this is what the league was hoping for. You know, like as far as like excitement, like let's make it exciting. You know,
man. Why even try, man? Why even try?
I mean, if you're an Atlas fan, you know, I know it's become easy to take shots, but I mean,
there's
13, dude. They got 13 points. They're only 1 point. I mean, they're still in you know, they can still make the big dance.
I don't know if you guys know this this reference, but Fatboy Slim, he has an album come. You've come a long way, baby. And the cover of the album is like this dude. He's like super fat, and it says, "I'm number one, so why try harder?" You know, I'll send it to you guys so you guys can see it. But it's like you're in 12th position, or you're in first place, or you're in last place, and the difference is 3 points. It's like, dude, why even try, man? I can still somehow squeeze into the 12th spot, get stuck with you know, in the first round, get stuck with the top team, the number one team, knock them out of the playoffs, and all of a sudden it's a completely different ball game, man. It's like, why even try?
Yeah, man. But I mean, this is
Was that Chickies?
I said mentality is such a big deal in sports and in life in general. You gotta have this. You gotta have a strong mentality. Like if you're in the lower spots, you can't have that attitude. If you're in the higher spots, you can't be like, "Oh, I'm gonna coast."
But
yeah,
if I agree, but it's like, why reward mediocrity? You know, if you're gonna let them squeeze in anyways, it's like, this is the type of like league that you've created.
They wouldn't play the first place team.
Oh, they wouldn't?
No, there's like a it's like a repechaje.
Oh.
It's like a repechaje. So I mean, you I guess you just get like an extra match.
You get like a bye week
like
or something.
Like a wild
like
card type of thing.
Okay.
It's like the losers bracket. Like you guys are the losers. You guys play amongst yourself, and whoever wins, you can come play with the big boys. And
yeah,
the big boys. Yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. We have 3 jornadas left, and yeah, I mean, like you said, there's no one
Yeah,
mathematically, no one's been eliminated just yet.
no, no, no. I think I'm gonna hold on to what I was saying that Cruz Azul to me they're still one of the favorites. I think Leon you have to consider them just consistent, just because how they've been consistent. Pumas still up in the air for me. I think they'll put up a fight, but I wouldn't give them the favorite etiqueta. Not above the teams I'm mentioning. I think America for me, them losing Ochoa could hurt them, and so I'll knock him down a peg as far as like you know matching up against some of these other teams. And one of the teams that lately has hit a stride is Tigres because they started pretty slow, but they've have what 4 wins in a row.
Yeah, and
And
the big one being the Clásico against Monterrey.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm actually checking out. They've had a winning string since match day 10. They beat Santos
5.
2-0. They beat
Yeah,
Querétaro. Then they had that victory against Monterrey. They beat San
yeah.
Luis. And they beat Cruz
Well,
Azul
this is
2-0.
this is the impressive. Since beating Santos, they haven't allowed a goal.
Oh, wow.
So 2-0 over Santos, 3-0 over Querétaro, 2-0 over Monterrey, 3-0 over San Luis, and 2-0 over Cruz Azul, and they beat Cruz Azul on the road, which is, to me is big to beat that. I mean, they beat Monterrey and Cruz Azul, two strong teams, but at least strong if you're looking at the
Squad-wise.
squad,
Yeah.
yeah, top to bottom. So I do think right now Tigres, man, going into this liguilla, they're probably, and you talked about this, Jaime, how you see teams they get on fire right at the right moment,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so this is probably Tigres going Super Saiyan. Their hair's turning blonde, and their power levels are going over 9,000, man. And so I mean, Tuca, if he wins it all, he could just
Retire, man.
make drop.
And maybe he'll finally fucking smile. Jesus Christ, man. I'm surprised he's actually made it to how old he is because he's so angry all the time. Like, even when they score, they always cut to his face and he's just like yelling at them. I'm like,
So
bro, live a little.
so Tigres, and they could continue their big trend because, well, at least for one more match, they're
You
gonna
got
have Juarez,
Juarez. Yeah.
and then America, who's, I don't know if they'll keep their at 0. They'll keep their goal, their
Their
clean
clean sheet.
sheet.
Yeah.
Because America's still at home, you still gotta respect them. But then they close against Atlas, so
Oh,
I
man.
think they could make a strong push,
Push. Yeah.
for first place. But I'm pretty sure they're gonna hold on to that, to top 3. I could see them easily holding on to top 3, and they are currently the best offensive. Wait,
Goals
they're tied.
against.
Oh,
They've conceded
there's
only 11. They're definitely
no,
up
but
there,
offensive.
but
We have a 3-way tie.
Leon.
Nope. Offensive goals
Oh,
scored.
offensive. I'm sorry. I thought you said defensive.
Oh, wait, Leon. How many goals did they score? Because this thing's not marking it.
Oh, no, I was looking defensively. So Leon has the best defense in the league with only 8 goals allowed in 13 matches. But you are correct. Pumas, Tigres, and
No, but
America.
Leon just played, so they're at 14.
Oh,
What they
that's
beat
right.
America by?
They did concede 2 goals and they scored 3.
They scored 3, so
So
they're at
yeah,
they're 21
yeah,
goals.
21.
They've scored, but Pumas, and here I was discounting them, man. They have 24 goals, same as Tigres and America. America still holding on to that. So those are the more offensive teams, although they say defense wins championships. So Leones,
Defend 'em.
Chiquis.
Chiquis
I
is
could barely hear you, man.
we've entered the ASMR
He's.
section of our podcast.
Jeez, you have to bring me chocolates and flowers if you're gonna talk to me like that. Take me to meet your parents and
he left. Oh,
fancy dinner.
You still don't hear me.
there we go.
There, better
There we
now.
go. Say you with your
way
chest.
better.
I gotta defend my cat though, because Joel
Oh.
glossed over my cat, and then went
What?
on to the stripe.
I've
He went on to the
been
stripe.
more positive about Pumas. You were like,
No, dude,
like
you went
this
over
is
to
not
the
gonna
stripe
last.
cat. You're
Oh.
praising the stripe cat. You're praising the
Well-
stripe cat, saying that they won. Like they haven't been scored on in the last 5 games.
Yeah,
They've been
yeah,
blowing people out.
that's
The Puma's gonna beat the Chiva here in a couple of weeks, so that'll be the main victory that you guys can enjoy.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Tigres in the Liguilla. But that's what I foresee in the future here in 2 weeks. Chivas,
Yeah.
Pumas.
Yeah.
yeah. No, my thing with Pumas is they're a team that if they have suspension or injury, that could hurt them, just because their squad is not as deep. But I think this coach has been playing really good, Liliani, and he came in as interim, and he's been the revelation. You could say he's the just give it to him already, man. Coach of the season, what he's done, and with the limited squad, it's and hopefully he stays in Liga MX for a while, especially if he has if he could maintain this this level of coaching. That's what a lot of Mexi fans ask for. But this dude worked for a long time. We went over his curriculum not too long ago right here. He's been all over the place. But yeah, I think those 5, I think teams are the most. Monterrey is the one that just they don't convince me. They're in 6th place, but I don't know, man. I feel like if the going gets tough,
Monterrey knows how to turn it on though. Kind of going over the scores. Necaxa beat Tijuana 2-0. Necaxa and both Tijuana they're sort of doing pretty bad. Tijuana's in 14th position. Then you got Necaxa in 11th, just right there inside the top 12. And then Monterrey, they actually ended up beating Puebla 3-1 on Saturday. So I think if they get, because they got Funes Mori, man. You know what I mean? They have really good, they have Cesar Montes. They have Charlie Rodriguez. And, this team has squad. They can turn it on and upset.
Yeah, but we saw the previous season though,
Oh yeah.
So while the talent's there, that's why to me it's too much of a gamble with them, where it's like they could give you a really good game or they could just not. They could just be lackluster,
I'm sure Turco Mohamed's looking like, hey, look, guys, you don't have to be the best team in the league. We just got to get into the playoffs, and we can on a good day we can catch Pumas off. We can catch Tigres off. Who knows? I think they can somehow just take the victory over these teams because they have experience. They've been in a lot of finals lately, so I feel like they have the talent. So
yeah.
I think they're a team that can turn it on late and just.
I agree. I agree, but see, like this is my thing. And we're talking about just how irregular the season has been, and I think Monterrey was probably like the poster boy. So they'll beat America at Azteca 3-1, but then they'll lose to Tijuana, 2-1, or not be able to beat Atlas at home. So and it's like Monterrey, one of the strongest teams. So you expect them to just stomp over some of these teams or struggle against Atlético San Luis, and that's the thing with these Rayados, where it's like yeah, they have the talent to beat anyone, but then at the same time, they could just be off and not. They could be that team that loses to one of the repechaje, like like if San Luis makes it, you know, and then they match up with them, they'll end up like just losing just because they decided not to show up that day.
Well, Ormeño scored for Puebla, one of the few
There's
Mexican strikers in the Liga MX. So good for him. I was actually gonna pull up the player with the most goals. It looks like
it's not Gignac.
Gignac's still up there with 10. And I was trying to find
Man,
Ormeño. Ormeño just
the,
scored his fifth goal, so he's up there with Macias as far as Mexican cats with the most goals.
he's
And Henry Martinez still the top Mexican goal scorer with 6.
Gignac at 34, man. He's you know much credit right there. He didn't come to Mex to retire, man. He's already icon over there at Tigres. They're
Yeah.
gonna build a statue for him. We guarantee it.
He deserves it, man. He's been loyal to the club. He loves the culture, and he's just embraced it. He'll go down as one of the top goal scorers in the history of the league. It reminds me like the Cardoso era where he just dominated. Maybe not as much as Cardoso, but definitely if he's on the field, you kind of expect him to score.
You got to name your kid Andres, Pedro.
There's already a lot of Mexican kids named after Gignac.
Andre.
Yeah. Andre.
Just a different, yeah, Pierre and all. Just his name just got spread out over there.
It's not as bad as getting a tattoo of your favorite player for Pumas and then he ends up playing for America.
Was that you, Chiquis?
No,
Yeah, so I'm looking at his record at Tigres. He has 121 goals. That's impressive.
Yeah, for real, man.
Isn't that more than Bravo when Bravo scored at Chivas?
Bravo scored what,
look.
130? I want to say. I forgot how many.
Thought he scored like 120 or something. Let's see. Let's ask the internet. He scored.
I'm about to trigger everybody's. Hey Siri.
This thing's not.
While we're going on
101.
While we're going on scores, Mazatlan we mentioned was the only other team in the league besides Necaxa that allowed fans into their stadium, and this was a big one for Mazatlan. With fans in the stadium, they got their victory 3-2 over Juarez. I'm sure they're going to be happy about that. And then we mentioned Cruz Azul losing to Tigres. We mentioned Pumas beating Toluca. The last game of the match day 14, Santos Pachuca, 1-1 draw. Julio Furch and Luis Chavez were the authors of that one. Are we still trying to make Julio Furch Mexican? I forgot.
I think that time passed, man. I wouldn't have mind. He was very consistent for a long time. But I think he's too old now. Well, not that old. He's 31. He's 31 then.
He's still got it in the tank. But obviously, it's not going to be the player that we're like, oh, we need him on the team. I'd rather have Funes Mori. I've talked about that.
We got Chicharito. We got Raul Jimenez. We got the guys already for that spots. We don't need Funes Mori. We don't need.
I'll take a Funes Mori over Chichatronco right now. I'm sorry.
Chicha's not even gonna be it. Like I don't even care if he ever gets.
Chichadiva.
And in
Yeah.
fact, he's actually streaming the Warzone right now. I just saw. So
I found the stat: Omar Bravo 132 goals for Chivas.
132, but he played for like a decade, right? While
Very long time.
this guy's done it in half, like 5 years since
Oh yeah.
2015.
oh
So
yeah, you can't
it's
compare that.
impressive. No, I mean, and I'm not um doing it to put down Bravo. I you know, I just was thinking what player was at a club that ended up scoring so many, and I mean, Bravo came to mind just because how he finally broke the record, at Chivas. And so I think
Like,
Guignac did the same at Tigres. I think he did it over Tomas Boy. I don't know, they had a mini beef for a while, where I think Tomas threw some shade.
Makes
yeah, they did.
Cardoso scored 249 goals for Toluca in 10 years, man.
Damn.
Jesus.
Well, so I think Guignac would have, had he been here younger, he probably could have
Probably.
challenged, for that.
Mm-hmm. Going into match day 15, where again, last couple games of the season, 3 more fixtures. Looks like Puebla will be playing León, so León can probably continue staying at the top of the table. I mean, this is their league to lose. With this victory over America, they're 6 points clear of everybody else. So if they were to win against Puebla, I think mathematically that gives them the first place. They're the ones that are going to kick off match day 15. And then on Saturday, it's going to be Querétaro versus Necaxa. Sort of a bottom feeders matchup there. Necaxa in 11th position, Querétaro in 17th position, but there's only 3 points between them. So a win for Querétaro would put them up there. And then Tigres play Juárez. So I think, Joel, you mentioned that earlier, that they could continue
Had
this
a clean sheet.
and win streak.
Yeah, both. Yeah, I do think right now Tigres is probably, one of the favorites right now. And hands down, I could see why.
Then on Saturday, America versus Atlas. This would be a nice little pick-me-up for America, who just got defeated today against León. Nice little bounce-back win against Atlas, I'm sure, because they're going to be at home. And I'm sure Piojo's going to be under the hot seat right now, so he could use a...
Well, from some of the fans, I mean, if you're like the directiva, how he's doing a good job, man. I
Oh, yeah.
wouldn't, I do think that just some of the fans, and I think social media has made things worse, where people just post stuff to get a reaction.
Yeah.
But his record, and again, we've talked about how he still manages to have the team playing good despite, le quitan jugadores or injuries or whatnot.
And
I mean,
not losing
they're one of,
clásicos. Not losing clásicos.
and and I mean, one of the best offensives, and so I mean, you just, I don't know, man. I think I don't know what you're thinking if you're a fan. If you're if you're an Americanista and you're hating on Piojo, I don't.
Yeah, it's like,
I think
well, all
I
right,
think you must.
replace him. Name somebody that
I
can
think
replace
they,
him and like have the
I
same
think.
kind of run.
Well, yeah, you must have amnesia, man, because you're talking about Ame that went through some hard times. They went through like a 13-year dry spell, and other coaches that just didn't cut it. And so to think all of a sudden that some dude could just like, slide in and make it better. It just doesn't work like that.
That's my all right. I'm gonna put it out there for all Americanista fans out there that name somebody that can step in right now and replace Piojo and have similar success. I want to know. I need names. I want to know who you guys think could replace him. I think.
Yeah. Well, Turco was one of the dudes, and because he did win with them,
He
and then
did.
we saw what he did at Monterrey. He came back and
Mm-hmm.
he won, but then he crashed. He crashed hard, where he couldn't win a game.
Yeah.
And then right now he's not doing better than America, despite having a
Yeah.
arguably you could say a stronger squad. So even he wouldn't be doing better because he's not doing better.
Following the schedule here, Mazatlan will have another game at home, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fans that will try to show up for that one because it's against Rayados. And so that'll be a good match for them, I'm sure. Like you mentioned, with the inconsistency and unpredictableness of Monterrey, this could easily go one of two ways: a easy win for Monterrey, or an upset victory for Mazatlan in the Kraken. That's what they're calling their stadium.
The Kraken.
I don't know. Do they have pulpo in Mazatlan? Is that like a delicacy over there? Because I know they're by the coast and I know they're known for like seafood, but I don't know if they actually eat octopus. I guess we'll have to find a listener that's subscribed to our podcast and tell us if they're from Mazatlan, if they actually do eat pulpo out there. Toluca will play Tijuana on Sunday. So another team that needs to bounce back with Carlos Morales at the helm. I'm sure Tijuana should be a little bit easier than Pumas. Tijuana lost to Necaxa, so I'm pretty sure Toluca can handle them at home. And then what will probably be the game of the weekend, Chivas versus Cruz Azul. This is a really good test for Vucetic. And I don't know if I'm looking at this correctly, but it's a Sunday game at 4:30. Wow. Can't remember the last time Chivas played on a Sunday. It's a home game. I know for a while they did play on Sundays, but for the most part, Chivas have been playing on Saturdays. So this is an interesting turn of events here. But you got any thoughts on that game against Cruz Azul? Who do you think will win?
Well, I think the momentum probably in Chivas' favor. Just seeing Cruz Azul has hit a bit of a slump. We were talking about their last games. They lost at home to
Tigres.
Tigres. Hold on, let me just. I had it here. Okay, they lost to Tigres at home. Then they lost away to Toluca, which it should have been one of those games, where Toluca hasn't been doing good. They have interim coach, so it was a bit surprising for me to see them lose. And then they tied at home against America, and they did beat Mazatlan, but they struggled to beat them. It was 3-2. So it's a team that has hit they just haven't been as strong as we would expect. They lost to Atlas.
That's right.
and so it's they're still high up there, and I still think they're one of the more consistent teams just because they're still they at least their start was a bit better, but I
Yeah.
think just
right now they're
Just
kind
their
of
last.
resting on their laurels, and they had a great start to the season, and they're kind of just been coasting off of that, at least in the last 4 or 5 fixtures. So
Well, yeah, and well, we talked about how Tigres clean sheet. Well, Cruz Azul, they haven't scored their last three
oh,
games.
that's a
So I
problem.
mean that, yeah. So I'm liking that Chivas put three in the net in one game. These guys can't score. I do think that that would help um, Chivas because I mean right now if I'm Buse, Cruz Azul walk, they want to park the bus. I'll just let them, man. Just go ahead. I'm taking this point. You know, um, I
Okay,
will just.
so you're thinking more of a draw.
I am if they do it. I think they're, but I do think the urgency is on Cruz Azul.
Mm.
So I do think Chivas doesn't have to like expose themselves. Like they don't have to be like going all out, which is something we saw in the last years where you know in home games Chivas really struggled because teams would just go and sit back and then let Chivas do the heavy lifting and then just hit them on that hit them on a mistake or whatever. And so right now just in a position where it's like they don't have that urgency.
I'm a little bit salty because we lost to them in the final of the Copa por Mexico, so I would love to see,
The
some
revenge.
payback at home. I will say though, if they perform defensively the way they did against Atlas, this is going to be a goleada for Cruz Azul because they had some serious laps in the last 5 minutes against Atlas. They can't be doing that kind of mistakes against
Yeah,
Cruz Azul. Cruz Azul will punish them for that. Um,
yeah,
but if they have their A game, if they're on point, I think Chivas could get a 2-1 victory or maybe settle for a draw.
yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Cruz Azul struggling to score. So I would, I would. I know. Chiva fans not liking some of like maybe the team being overly defensive. But again, we're talking about a team that no liguilla in 3 years, and even worse, not even being able to finish top eight. I mean, that's embarrassing, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're in line of just doing that. So at least you could break that ugly streak. I don't care how you do it, as long as you do it.
Absolutely, and sort of have some cushion between us and Pachuca.
Yeah,
Because
exactly. So
Pachuca
so yeah,
will
it's important not
go ahead.
Pachuca.
They have a tough
No,
game
no,
against Pumas, so
yes,
if Pumas could beat Pachuca and then Chivas get a draw or a victory, not all of a sudden we kind of secured that seventh position.
yeah, and because again we were talking about just these three opponents, just they're difficult, Cruz Azul, Pumas, and Monterrey. So I mean, if Cruz Azul wants to throw another point, go ahead, man.
Yeah, yeah. The goal is Liguilla, just get there. At this point, Chivas don't really have I mean, unless some crazy shit happens, there's no way they're gonna finish top four. So they would be forced to play in the repechaje. So at this point, just try and finish as high as you can, seed wise, and stay healthy out there. And we have Santos will be playing Atletico San Luis. So Santos are ninth position, 19 points. A victory could put them up there with Chivas too. So we're gonna have to need some help from some of these teams to step it up if Chivas can't handle business.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, I mean, Tigres will be playing America, so that's if they continue. Oh man, I dropped my mic. They 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 will be playing America, not not this upcoming, but the one after. And so if they continue on their hot streak, that's something I'm gonna be pulling. Hoping that they beat. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly. And that will basically be our predictions for match day 15. Those games will start on Friday, and obviously we'll also be rooting for our boys out in Europe midweek with the Champions League. I doubt Hector Herrera will get some minutes against Bayern Munich, but who knows? But I'm sure that Tecatito will be in that starting lineup for Porto against Manchester City. So at least we'll have some Champions League football to look forward to and seeing our boys there. Kind of closing in on this episode, Joel, do you have any closing thoughts for our listeners?
Yes, I do. It's a bit of a rant.
Let's hear
I
it.
don't want it to go long. It's because I'm still hearing things about how the U.S. has sent all these youth to Europe. So there's still a lot of salty Mex fans over there, and a lot of them are attacking the clubs and saying how they're greedy because they overprice their players. And it's like, and then I've gotten into some discussions, and it becomes apparent with a lot of the fans they don't quite understand how the league works or how the clubs operate. And so they probably heard that talking point from like a talk show, some other media, where it's like they'll just throw it out there, but they won't really give example, like they won't really like go analyze it thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll say like, oh, so and so is being overpriced. So like probably the one player you could say was overpriced
Pizarro
in recent. Yes, Pizarro, 17 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's because Chivas really wanted him, you know, and so Pachuca said, hey, this is what we'll sell him for. And Chivas was like, I'll take it. And then Monterrey was like, well, we'll pay the same. But even in that case, I'll go as far as to say that the player plays a role in that as well, because he's signing the contract. He's willing to that, He he could have like just said, you know what, I'm not budging. Or when he signs a contract, make sure there's like a release clause
Mm-hmm.
or something to that effect. So yeah, because that's why the players have agents, representatives, and whatnot to make sure. So yeah, Pizarro, I guess he plays the victim card in because he's like, oh well, no one told me like when I got switched to Monterrey. But dude, he arrives to Monterrey and he did have that clause that ultimately he ended up in MLS. So I mean, this dude's bagged a lot of money along the way. So I mean, and then the other example compared to him is Macias, who has, in his contract, it's kind of stipulated so that it's easy for him to go to Europe. And when that offer does come, Chivas is not gonna overprice him. They're not gonna say, oh, it's 20 million.
Yeah.
It's whatever. And so that's part of it too. Like you can't just blame the club. A lot of times it's the players as well. So if you're like an upstart youth and you're like the club wants to tie you and they give you they're paying you all this money, then of course you're gonna cost more money than like a South American player that is earning peanuts. So that's the one where um, I'm not saying you could blame the player, but also like keep that in mind that it's like a lot of times the players they made that decision of like, okay, I'm gonna take this high wage instead of like having a contract where it's he's not gonna earn that much money, but gonna be easier for him to leave. Because clubs at the end of the day, that's part of the big reason that they're gonna price you high. If they're paying you high, they're trying to make their money back. And that's the other thing where we realize with Mexican teams, it's like they don't really make money. A lot of them lose money. And the only reason we do think sometimes like, oh, they have all this money, you're not really thinking about the club. You're thinking about the companies that own the club. Those are the ones that have money. So I'll give a few quick examples. If Chivas had money, just as the club alone, they would have never had to loan out the team to the promotora and much less then sell it to Vergara. And then even when Vergara had it, and I know Chivistas remember this, there was talk of Slim buying the club or other, other people wanting to buy it, but they just didn't want to buy the stadium. That should say a lot as far as like, where the money's at. And we've seen like Morelia, disappeared, got booted out of first. Lobos Buap, gone. Jaguares gone. Veracruz gone. That's a lot of teams. You can say that they're lower teams, but what's the difference between them and the higher teams? Because the higher teams are owned by big companies. So Cemento Cruz Azul is a big company. So Cruz Azul could do bad, but the Cementera is going to keep them afloat. Just how Televisa, big conglomerate, they could keep America even if they don't sell tickets. They have this big company backing them up. And so that's one thing where it's like fans don't realize that the team by itself, they don't make that much money because in Mex, there's just not that much money for sponsors, for TV, and even the gate. It's like the cheapest tickets are what, like $5, I think, to
Yeah.
go into and so that's just the team's already taking a loss. Chiquis had some numbers. I don't know if he's still with us.
Nah, he's gone.
Chiquis bounce. He's at Chicharo's stream.
He's
He's watching Chicharo play Warzone.
he's donating
But
money to Chicharo.
I know you remember this though, Jaime. Remember Chiquis had this one article that came out and then they deleted it because it was making Liga Femenil look bad.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was from Santos and how just having the lights on was more expensive than paying the whole squad or something like that.
Yeah, the
And
the
they
fans,
weren't even
the ticket sales, the everything.
wasn't even gonna cover the
Yeah,
light.
the lights.
So that's people don't think about that stuff, fans, because soccer, we don't really care. We want to see the game.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we don't care about the business aspect, but expecting teams to let go of like one of their top stars just because he could go to Europe, that's like, why do you expect someone to take a big loss? They're already losing money. You want them to lose more money
And
on
that's the
top of that?
yeah, that's the
Sorry,
thing.
no, it does.
Clubs are not obligated to sell a player just because it's for the benefit of the la selección or
Yeah,
for the benefit of
yeah,
the
it
player.
doesn't
It's like this is a business, man. And unlike
exactly.
unlike these leagues in our region and even in South America, the Liga MX is a bubble, man. The Mexican market is very, very strong as far as selling in between clubs. You don't,
Yeah,
and it's crazy because like, Pachuca, there was the example. It was like, why sell a player to a team in Europe for 5 million when Chivas are offering 15? It's like there's no
yeah,
because there's a future sale, like 10%, 15% of that future sale. It's like, yeah, dude, but we're talking like guaranteed money, man. It's like, why take the chance of maybe getting paid out big in 5 years from now and you don't even know if that kid's gonna pan out. You take the guaranteed money. So
exactly. And even like so we're looking at even to have like a cantera, so for like Pachuca, like how much are they gonna spend? So because someone said, oh, they came from one of the comments I read was because they came from the academy, so they're free. And I was like, no, it's not free. The club has to pay costs. You have to pay coaches. You have to pay scouts. You have to pay for, the medical. Players get injured and they need, you have to pay for the field upkeep. You have to pay for if they travel to be in tournaments. You're covering that cost. the food, because you feed them, especially if they live there, light, electricity. There's a lot of stuff that they're already paying to have like hundreds of kids, where only a handful are going to make it in first division. So if they do sell a player, that money goes back into keep funding that, So it's whole different ball game, and I know it's hard to compare against like other leagues because they all operate differently, So like in South America, sometimes they
So
don't.
yeah, so the whole thing that started this. There was a sale from the Union, Philadelphia. Brendan and Aronson. He went to Red Bull Salzburg for $6 million, and all the fanboys in MLS are like, "Oh, see, look, we're finally starting to become like a a commodity." But then they were looking
Yeah,
at his actual salary. He was making $70K, and there's this guy named Luis Herrera saying that, dude, $70K, like the players that are playing in Ascenso Mexico in the second division are make more than that. So
yeah.
it's like the Mexican
What's
player
it?
gets paid well, even at a young age.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's when you think, okay, so why do they cost more, or why is the team valuing it more? Because they're trying to recover their money. So like I said, it's gonna come down to the player to want. Okay, I want to go abroad, but that's a sacrifice that has to come from them.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen so many Mex going abroad where we can't use that anymore of saying that the clubs block them or they don't let them. Just too many players have gone already. Uh, Even free, like Ochoa just bounced. Pulido left and he came back. There's just a lot, and so I just we can't really blame the clubs, the fans, and talk about greed and all this stuff
Yeah,
because
it's on the player.
that's not where it's going. Yeah, it is. It is. I think if Pizarro really wanted to go abroad, that was one of his main goals. I think he wouldn't have left Pachuca,
Pachuca.
man. Not for seven. Dude, when I saw 17 million, I was like, this guy's not leaving.
Yeah,
This,
he's not
if
leaving. There's no way.
he's not leaving. And, I guess he probably does still want to go. And because there was this talk that Beckham promised him. And I could see him like leaving on loan, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Beckham has Palanca and whatever teams down there, and yeah, why not? We've seen that before. Players going over there on loan and playing, and especially because how the MLS season runs, when
Yeah, their off
it's not
season is
parallel.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I could see that happening. All right, he'll go over there and Donovan did it. I don't know if he did it 2 or 3 seasons in a row where he would play like in Everton and then come and play in San
Yeah.
Jose. So I mean, yeah, if he wants to get that, get that itch off of him, then yeah, I could see him doing that. But I think once he signed for Chivas for that amount, he knew was like, oh man, aside from going to the World Cup and then just tearing a couple teams a new one, and yeah, you're not really gonna the offers aren't gonna be coming from abroad.
Yeah, and so this reporter Luis Herrera, he said the solution as far as all right, well, how does a player go to Europe if you're in Mexico? And he says you have to resist the urge to renew your youth contract, and
Yeah.
you force the team to basically let you go for free, or just let you go. So
Well, and we've seen it happen because it happened at Chivas.
Bravo,
So no, with
Alanis,
no, not Alanis. With damn, dude was in Germany. Kind of
Salcedo,
disappeared now. Marco Fabian.
oh Fabian,
Yeah, Marco Fabian. So he negotiated the contract when he returned to Chivas. He was on loan at Cruz Azul, and it was Nestor. He was in charge of the team, and he's like, I'll put a clause. I'll put a clause that if the right offer comes along, we'll negotiate and you could leave. And he did leave, and it was the same with Carlos Salcedo, where They brought him from Real Salt Lake, and they said, "We'll give you that clause," because the players asked for that, and so and they both ended up leaving. So this whole talk about uh, clubs gonna block you, no, not exactly. If you get greedy and you're like, "Yeah, I'll take this 2.5 or 3 million, you know, wages," then why would you want the club to then just because some other team comes from abroad, just because they're from abroad, and then they don't want to pay what you're worth.
Yeah. No, because the reason I mentioned Bravo, Alanis, and all them is because if I'm not mistaken, they literally had to wait until their contract expired for them to leave Chivas and go to Europe.
Oh, well, I mean, but yeah, but these dudes had signed, that was the reason because they had like top contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the whole thing with Alanis where supposedly he didn't want to take a pay cut. So that was one of the things where the club then just ended up releasing him. And then even to leave, even when he left, he earned even less
Yeah, he
when
did.
he was in Spain. So I mean, it's like, and that should also like says a lot. A lot of these teams that you're gonna go to, they're gonna pay you even less. So that's why a lot of these players are like, a lot of them don't take that risk. You're already making this much money, so the way they're thinking about it is like, how much can I make in the next 4 years? So I can't blame them all the time because it's not a given.
Yeah.
Just going abroad doesn't mean you're gonna make it. There's so many things that could happen. You could get injured. The coach could change. Just so many stuff that could happen. It's always a gamble. So I really can't blame players when they don't take it. And then you have to see what's their situation at home. Some of them already have kids. They start young in Max, dude.
They do start young. I didn't know.
Or
What's his name? He went to Atlanta FC. Damn, he has like kids. I didn't know he had hella kids, man. I'm like, this kid look hella young.
and kids that we know of, and there's the ones that we don't know of. And oh yeah, are they taking care of family? They might have a sick abuelita or whatever, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, so that's why if they could just, you know, earn X amount by just signing a juicy contract, that they end up doing it because at least they'll be like, okay, I'm secured for the next 4 or 5 years, and if I invest this money, I'm set. I don't have to worry. And that's so when we look at like South America, dude, a lot of these players, they earn very little.
They do.
Just very little. So I mean, no les queda de otra. If that risk comes, they take it. They take it, and these players go all over. They're not just in Europe. They end up playing in some weird leagues, man.
They
Malaysia
do.
and
I know.
somewhere like in Mongolia and shit.
I know for a
Fifth
long
division Mongolia, and what
time,
happened?
Brazil had a relationship with Russia, man. They were sending all their players playing in Russia, and Ukraine and all these like countries. I'm like, damn,
They're freezing their nuts off. They go from the
I
beach
know.
in Copacabana, man, in nice weather to you over there, man. You're in Siberia now. Yeah, so I mean, it's just too many things that play into this to try to simplify it just by saying, oh, clubs are being greedy. Like, no, most of these clubs are already losing money. Why do you want them to lose even more? You know? And one more thing I'm gonna say with like just player development because it's different the U.S. So, and there's something we talked about with Ron. Ron has gone more in depth about this, and it's how like there's more money here in the U.S. where they like like in the school, like you're playing high school and college, and then university, and so the MLS drafts a lot of players from university. So those are players that they didn't have to train. They did get them for free at that point.
Yeah.
And in Mex, you could say, well, why do you expect the league to do this? It should probably come from the government, where they're like, okay, we want to incentivize, you know, sport in the country and maybe give money for high schools or just building fields. I remember when I went to Ohio, this was years ago. A lot of the fields you had to pay to play. You had to rent them out. You had to go and, you paid a couple pesos to play them. So
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Yep.
that's the other thing. Build more fields, make it so that at the high school level, man, there's rivalries or it's a big thing, and colleges as well, because it's pretty much non-existent to have that, and it's like a waste.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know they tried years ago, but I don't think it went anywhere. I think they were trying to make like a league of like university league or college league, but I don't know what happened there, man. Is That's the other level of corruption. Just llega dinero and it disappeared, dude.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of the teams that fell out of Ascenso decided to start their own independent league. So I'm curious how that project's going on.
oh yeah, there you go, the new league.
Yeah, the Balompié, I think I forgot the name of it, but it's like separate from Ascenso. It's a little bit different. Looks like we have a late listener saying that
Llegó a barrer.
oh, he just said some minimum wage workers in some states make 70K. Yeah, so definitely the gap is not closing as far as salary goes between MLS players and Liga MX players. So it'll always be an ongoing debate. Anytime the USA sends players abroad, they're like Mexican, for some reason the Mexican fans will start freaking out and, well, what about us? When are we gonna get our player? But I always feel like, you know what? It's the players that do end up like going to Europe. I'm starting to see now there's more and more calculated risks. Like I think we kind of stopped just trying to throw, especially with Chivas, just letting any player, any club just grab our players and go. I think now they're having like plans set. Like, all right, here's a release clause if you do get an offer from Europe, and if you do go, we're gonna make sure it's like the right way. We're not just gonna sell you to the highest bidder just because Arsenal comes a knocking or Chelsea comes a knocking. Like, no, we're gonna make sure that they actually have a genuine like.
Yeah, well, Davila is a good example of that because Chelsea took him, and then they just kind of flushed him down the toilet. They sent him to different teams. He never got accustomed to it. He helped one team win promotion
Yeah.
in Spain. Then they just, instead of leaving him there, they sent him to another team, and then to another, and then I think it's in Australia somewhere right now.
New Zealand.
But it's somewhere over there,
Wellington.
Right? But yeah, that's one of the cases where you see a player go over there, and just because he went there, you think, oh snap, the next best thing, and yeah, nope. I think that's the other thing with sending players at a young age and sending them for cheap. If si no les costó nada, then they're not gonna value you.
Yeah. For sure. Well, we're gonna wrap this up, but I want to thank all of our listeners, not just on YouTube, but on all these podcast platforms. We're now on over 7 platforms, and if there is a podcast app that you use that for some reason you can't find this podcast on, just reach out to us on Twitter so we can get on there. But thank everyone for listening, and make sure to catch us next week. Cool.
We're off. This went a bit longer than I thought.